he told me before his goal is to fight Canelo. So that's, you know, where his mindset's at.
He get fucked up by Canelo. There's no way he get demolished. But for what he's doing, as long as they keep getting YouTubers and keep putting them in there with MMA guys,
yeah,
that's kind of over the hill, he's gonna continue to shine.
Ever do like exhibitions like that, or like people like Jake Paul call you out, or these like other big stars? Like, is that business wise like even worth it?
When I'm done with boxing, why not? Maybe I do it. Why not?
Floyd Mayweather pulls no punches when addressing Jake Paul's bold aspirations to challenge Canelo Alvarez after securing a unanimous decision victory against Mike Tyson on November 15th. Paul, the polarizing YouTuber-turned-boxer, has been stirring up the boxing scene with his bold remarks and daring callouts. Recently, he set his sights on Canelo Alvarez, widely regarded as one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the sport today. The prospect of a showdown between Paul and Alvarez has sparked a heated debate. To some, Paul represents a polarizing force injecting fresh energy into boxing, while others doubt his skill set and question whether he can hold his own against a fighter of Alvarez's caliber. Floyd Mayweather, known for his mastery in the ring and his unfiltered opinions, issued a stark warning to Jake Paul regarding his aspirations to face boxing icon Canelo Alvarez. Speaking during a recent interview, Mayweather didn't mince words as he addressed Paul's repeated mentions of a potential showdown with Canelo. Mayweather's remarks served as both a reality check and a brutal critique of Paul's ambitions. Mayweather began by acknowledging Jake Paul's ability to generate attention and money in the boxing world, but he quickly shifted to a harsh assessment of Paul's readiness to face an opponent of Canelo's caliber. Mayweather stated that Jake Paul has made his money and his name off fighting retired athletes, older fighters, and people who don't box professionally. Canelo is not one of those people. He's at the top of his game and would destroy Jake in the first few rounds.
Yeah, I always think I can do this different and this, but at the end of the day, I can do nothing.
Highlighting the disparity in skill, experience, and discipline, Mayweather explained that stepping into the ring with Canelo isn't something a novice like Paul can take lightly. Mayweather stated that this isn't the YouTube boxing world or a scripted fight. This is real boxing at the highest level. Canelo has been training and fighting elite fighters his whole life. Mayweather said that Jake Paul wouldn't last a single round against him. Mayweather's warning extended beyond the physical risks to the implications for Paul's credibility. He pointed out that while Paul has managed to captivate audiences with his unconventional journey into boxing, taking on a fighter like Canelo could permanently tarnish his reputation. Mayweather cautioned that Jake is playing a dangerous game if he thinks he can handle Canelo. He's built a brand, but if he steps into the ring and gets humiliated, it's over for him. All that hype will disappear. The undefeated boxing legend also took aim at Paul's public challenges, describing them as a publicity stunt. Jake talks about a big game because it keeps him in the headlines. But let's be real, he knows he's not on Canelo's level. Calling him out is just noise to keep people talking, and Mayweather is accusing Paul of exploiting boxing's attention economy without truly respecting its demands. Mayweather ended his commentary by emphasizing that boxing isn't a game for amateurs who lack the dedication and skill to compete with the sport's elite. If Jake Paul is serious about fighting real fighters, he needs to work his way up the ranks like everyone else. Stop jumping to the big names just for a paycheck. Earn your place, or stick to entertaining your fans in your own lane. Floyd Mayweather's warning has sparked significant discussion in the boxing community. Many fans and analysts agree with his assessment, arguing that a match between Jake Paul and Canelo Alvarez would not only be mismatched, but could also harm the credibility of the sport. Others, however, see Mayweather's comments as an attempt to protect the sanctity of professional boxing from the growing influence of celebrity matches. For Jake Paul, the challenge to prove himself as a legitimate contender in the sport continues. Whether he heeds Mayweather's warning or pursues his ambitions to fight Canelo, one thing is clear: the path forward will require more than just confidence and hype. It will demand a level of preparation and commitment that Mayweather, and many others, believe Paul has yet to demonstrate. Mayweather remains skeptical about Jake's capacity to take on professional boxers. He stated, "For what he's doing, it's good, but once he fights a real actual fighter, it's going to be bad." Floyd Mayweather, well acquainted with Canelo Alvarez's resilience and skill from personal experience, didn't mince words when sharing his thoughts. In a candid interview with TMZ Sports, Mayweather issued a stark warning. Mayweather said he'd get up by Canelo. He added, "There's no way he'd win. He'd get demolished." Mayweather reflected on his 20 2021 encounter with Logan Paul, Jake's older brother. While the match was merely an exhibition, Mayweather's control in the ring was undeniable. Even as Jake Paul attempted to stir the pot with taunts and challenges, Mayweather showed little inclination to entertain the idea of a showdown with him. But things might have been different. Now, Mayweather is amenable to the prospect of facing Jake Paul, but only under specific restrictions. Mayweather said, "I'd fight him in a real fight at the weight that I'm at," referring to his natural weight of 147 pounds. Canelo Alvarez hasn't entirely dismissed the idea of stepping into the ring with Jake Paul someday, but for now, his sights remain firmly set on his professional boxing ambitions. Meanwhile, Jake Paul, undeterred by skeptics and naysayers, continues to stir both intrigue and debate in the boxing community. Paul's knack for commanding attention, paired with his unyielding determination, has propelled him to heights few anticipated. Yet, stepping into the ring with Canelo Alvarez appears to be a mountain too steep to climb, even for someone as audacious as Jake Paul. Floyd Mayweather remains the ultimate benchmark in boxing, a legend who exited the sport undefeated while amassing immense wealth. Yet, the landscape has shifted dramatically. In this new era, influencer boxers like Jake Paul have taken center stage, orchestrating blockbuster events that have shattered even Mayweather's record-breaking achievements. Floyd Money. Mayweather's showdown with Manny Pacquiao in May 2015 wasn't just his most anticipated fight, it was boxing's biggest spectacle in years. The event shattered records with an astounding 4.6 million pay-per-view purchases. Remarkably, the runner-up in viewership also belongs to Mayweather. His 2017 clash with MMA star Conor McGregor drew an impressive 4.3 million buys, solidifying his reign as the king of pay-per-view. On November 15th at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, the problem child shattered this record during his showdown with the iconic Mike Tyson, streamed live on Netflix. The event reached a staggering peak audience of 65 million viewers. However, it sparks an ongoing debate about the distinction between the massive reach of a nearly free fight and the exclusivity of a pay-per-view bout. Nonetheless, comparisons were inevitable. This became apparent during the latest episode of the Porter Way podcast, hosted by former world champion Shawn Porter. The episode featured comedian Mike P. and actor Scruncho. As they delved into Jake Paul's recent fight with Mike Tyson, Mike P. shared a memorable story involving Floyd Mayweather. "I don't see Floyd in the street though," Mike P. recollected. The comedian nodded and added, "Fighting people way bigger than Jake Paul," in response to a podcast listener who inquired as to if he meant Mayweather was fighting on the streets. Notably, El Gallo moved up to heavyweight for his fight with Tyson. Nonetheless, Mike P. continued, "Back in the day, we used to be out here active." Fans found the news intriguing enough, but when the comic was asked, "What do? You jump in." Things rapidly became humorous. "No, I was watching," Mike P. said, smirking, and the group erupted in laughter. Following the street fight, Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson have been frequently mentioned together. Now, at 58, Tyson has spoken out, sharing his thoughts on who would come out on top in a street brawl between him and Floyd. As Mike P. pointed out, Floyd Mayweather has squared off against opponents larger than Jake Paul, but could he take on Mike Tyson in a street fight? This very question was put to Tyson himself by a Quora user during a GQ Sports interview 5 years ago. Tyson's reply was swift and concise, also offering insight into the one scenario in which Mayweather might come out on top. Mike Tyson confidently remarked that he believed he would easily defeat Floyd Mayweather in a street fight, suggesting it wouldn't even be a contest. However, he admitted that if they were the same size and fought in the ring, Mayweather would likely outpoint him, acknowledging the boxer's strong technique suited to his style.
I think I would really kick Floyd's ass in the street fight. Wouldn't even be no match, but probably if I was his size in the ring, he would outpoint me, yeah. He has a really good technique for his style. Yeah, he's really great.
Tyson thought Mayweather would win, nevertheless, provided the circumstances were changed to make the bout equal for both men. In the end, Mayweather's assistant shared a compelling story with fans that had never been revealed before. That said, it will be fascinating to see what a 47-year-old Floyd Mayweather is capable of when facing off against Jake Paul. On the other hand, UFC President Dana White didn't mince words when discussing Jake Paul's chances against Canelo Alvarez in a boxing ring. In a recent interview, White made it abundantly clear how he envisions the fight unfolding for the YouTuber. Jake Paul, for many, has crafted his boxing career by stirring controversy and drawing the gaze of prominent figures such as Mike Tyson and Canelo Alvarez. Yet, White sees these actions as a misguided strategy in his quest for greater recognition. White recognizes Paul's talent for drawing in a crowd, but remains vocal in his criticism of the YouTuber's recent wins against other influencers and ex-MMA fighters. He argues that Paul is in over his his head when it comes to facing world-class boxers such as Canelo Alvarez. White said during an appearance on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, "Canelo is still the man. He goes out there, puts in the work, and continues to dominate at the highest level. Jake Paul fighting him? It wouldn't last more than 30 seconds." White made it clear that a fight between Jake Paul and Canelo Alvarez is far from realistic. White explained, "Canelo fights real guys. He keeps his credibility intact and still makes millions per fight. He doesn't need Jake Paul, and honestly, Jake should stick to what he's doing. There's no shame in that, but stepping up to someone like Canelo is pure delusion." White went one step farther and likened Paul's aspirations to an unattainable dream. "Jake calling out Canelo is like someone dreaming of winning a gold medal without ever training," White joked. He added, "It's entertaining to think about, but it's not grounded in reality." At this point, Jake Paul might want to rethink his ambitious challenges. Canelo Alvarez is not just a household name, he's a pound-for-pound icon. White argues that someone unprepared for the elite ranks of boxing, like Paul, would be swiftly outclassed by Canelo. Jake Paul seems poised for a series of compelling challenges. The social media sensation has been bombarded with requests for a bout from top fighters like Artur Beterbiev, Daniel Dubois, and even the retired icon Carl Froch. Yet, Paul has firmly stated that his ultimate ambition is to step into the ring with the sport's most prominent figure. 27-year-old expressed his desire to square off against former undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez. However, the Mexican icon has made it clear in the past that he has no interest in facing Paul under any circumstances. Despite Paul's recent challenge, Canelo has yet to respond or show any recognition of it. Boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult has proposed an ideal opponent for Paul to face if he aims to position himself for a genuine shot at a future matchup with Canelo Alvarez. The boxing YouTuber mentioned that he knew who Jake Paul should definitely fight next, suggesting Edgar Berlanga as the ideal opponent. Showbiz explained that the people now want to see Paul against an active pro boxer. It's important to remember that Canelo Alvarez bested the Chosen One in September at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, securing a dominant, unanimous decision victory. Canelo even knocked down the 27-year-old Brooklyn native in the third round, reinforcing his control throughout the fight. Therefore, if Paul is able to handle Berlanga in the ring, there's no reason he shouldn't be able to secure a showdown with Cinnamon. He added that Berlanga wasn't widely regarded as a highly skilled boxer, noting that he was better known for his punching power than his boxing technique. The boxing YouTuber believes Problem Child shares a reputation more as a power puncher than a technical boxer. Showbiz also highlighted their fight histories, noting that few are familiar with the opponents Edgar Berlanga faced prior to meeting Canelo.
"I know who Jake Paul should definitely fight next. Edgar Berlanga." Okay, listen. Number one, we are ready for Jake Paul to fight an active pro boxer. Number two, Jake Paul has been calling out Canelo Alvarez for a while now. So in order for Jake Paul to convince the world that Canelo should be next, he should take on a like opponent, and Berlanga is the perfect one. Another reason, Berlanga isn't really considered as a highly skilled boxer. No, he's known as more of a puncher than a boxer. And Jake Paul, oh no one considered Jake Paul as a very skilled boxer. But we do consider him as a puncher. And speaking of which, let's think about their resumes. Berlanga, before fighting Canelo Alvarez, if you think about the fighters he fought, I want you to name a few of them. When it comes to Jake Paul, well, at least you can name them. So if you like this idea, I think the War Room is the perfect place to start pushing for this fight.
On the other hand, a battle between the two would make perfect sense because people can at least identify the individuals Jake Paul has fought. Meanwhile, Berlanga seems to be open to the idea of fighting Jake Paul. In a now deleted tweet on X, the Puerto Rican boxer wrote, "I will up Jake Paul. Puerto Rico keeps tagging me. You 60-year-old man. Puerto Rico is mine." The Puerto Rican native, who was born in Cleveland, has more options though. Tommy Fury, the half-brother of Tyson Fury, is reportedly set to face UFC contender Darren Till in January. However, the lure of a lucrative payday has led him to discuss the possibility of a rematch with Jake Paul. The two first clashed in February 2023, with Fury claiming victory by split decision. However, after Paul defeated Tyson earlier this month, Tommy Fury told ESPN about a potential rematch. "In a heartbeat, yeah, I mean at the end of the day, I think me and him, we're set in stone. They will eventually return to the ring because, as Fury pointed out, Paul's sole defeat came against him. I know I'm going to be an improved fighter, and with him the fights he's taking and what he's doing, I'm not sure if he's going to improve that much," he added. The anticipated showdown between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul was meant to mark a triumphant return for one of the most electrifying figures in combat sports. Longtime fans of Iron Mike were eager to witness his resurgence. However, their excitement quickly turned to disappointment as Tyson appeared sluggish and inactive in the ring. While his age offers some explanation, it still left many feeling unsatisfied and disillusioned. The controversy is so pervasive that many refuse to abandon their conviction that the fight was, in some sense, fixed. Even seasoned athletes have speculated that Tyson might have been contractually barred from landing uppercuts. Some argue that Tyson deliberately allowed Paul to win by withholding punches. Oscar de la Hoya is among these critics, and the Golden Boy took to Instagram a week after the event to vent his frustrations with the state of boxing. De la Hoya didn't hold back, blasting the Paul-Tyson matchup as a horrible display. He argued the fight felt scripted, with Tyson merely coasting for the paycheck while Paul seemed to have bought himself a win to boost his record. The CEO of Golden Boy Promotions then took aim at the current generation of boxers, asserting that none of them are striving for greatness. He pointed a finger at Canelo Alvarez in particular, a move that has become increasingly typical for the Golden Boy camp. De La Hoya said, "Fighters are not daring to be great, and we are stuck accepting mediocre fights. It's the fighters who are killing the sport. People try to blame the promoters or the managers or the trainers. No, it's the fighters. Fighters today don't think they're getting paid enough, or they're scared of taking an L." He added, "We know the outcome of the big fights these days before the fight even starts. Look at the Canelo fight. We have Canelo, who is the most boring but most popular fighter in boxing today. Alvarez's recent performances have failed to impress many boxing enthusiasts, a sentiment shared by De La Hoya. While his bout with Dimitri Bivol at a higher weight class presented a significant test, Alvarez has since effortlessly dominated opponents who seemed outmatched. While Alvarez's boxing skill is undoubtedly a key factor in his success, he has consistently steered clear of David Benavidez, despite the fact that this has been the obvious matchup for more than a year. Meanwhile, Eddie Hearn's comment to IFL TV suggests that being a skilled boxer is just one requirement for Jake Paul's next opponent, but it's more complex than that. The promoter argues that Paul should face someone who not only possesses boxing talent, but also brings a significant financial draw, ensuring that even if Paul falls short in the ring, he won't lose out financially. In this scenario, boxing takes a back seat, and the business side of things takes center stage. This logic underpins the Matchroom Boxing owner's assertion that if the challenge is genuine and pursued with intent, a potential showdown between Paul and Canelo Alvarez is not only achievable, but financially viable. In today's landscape, it appears that financial considerations weigh more heavily than the traditional values of sporting honor and passion for the sport. Eddie Hearn claimed that Canelo would fight the YouTuber and would not think twice about it once a formal offer is made. He said, "In my opinion, Canelo would take the fight. Why wouldn't he? I don't think he would think twice about it, but unless the amount of money gets out of control, I'm not sure Jake wants to fight him." Yet, from Hearn's point of view, it's clear why Jake Paul shouldn't seek an opponent who could easily overpower him. Instead, his ideal challenger should be a skilled boxer with a recognizable name, someone who strikes the right balance between boxing ability and marketability. This approach ensures that, win or lose, his corner can still profit from the fight, maintaining a strong position both in the ring and the business. If Jake Paul is willing to step into the ring with Canelo, the financial rewards must be substantial, considering the certainty of a crushing defeat. All the while, Paul is trying to sell the narrative that he's finally deserving of serious recognition in the boxing, a claim that remains unproven, especially after failing to defeat a past his prime Mike Tyson on November 15th in Arlington, Texas. Concluded Eddie Hearn, Jake Paul and his team are not idiots, and they know that it makes no sense for him to fight a decent top 15 guy that he can't beat or who he might lose to for little money. So he just has to get the right mix of who the next opponent will be. On the other hand, it appears that Canelo Alvarez has changed his mind about facing Jake Paul in a battle. Jake Paul has been arguing that Canelo Alvarez ought to face him throughout his ascent, and he might finally get his wish. Though there is a catch, the renowned Mexican boxer has now welcomed a face-to-face encounter with Paul. Canelo, during the Full Send podcast, confirmed that he might consider fighting Jake Paul in the future once he was finished with professional boxing. He explained that Jake Paul attracted fans from outside the boxing, bringing new viewers to the sport, which he thought was a positive thing. While he didn't commit to the idea, he suggested it could happen after he was no longer competing at the top level.
I think it's good because, what happened there is other people who never watch boxing or they don't know anything about boxing, they want to watch Jake Paul because he's coming from, he bring fans from other world, right?
Yeah.
No boxing fans, and that's good. that's good because everybody enjoy it.
Although he welcomes influencers to the sport, Canelo Alvarez respects their business sense but does not consider them to be real fighters. Canelo commented on the growing trend of influencers transitioning into boxing, expressing uncertainty about their standing as fighters, as being a true fighter was a different matter. However, he acknowledged that what they were doing seemed to be driven by business motives and emphasized the importance of respecting that.
So you think would you ever entertain that idea when you're done?
Maybe.
Do you like respect? You know, there's this whole new wave of like YouTube fighters. Like, do you respect them as fighters?
As a fighter, I don't know, because being a fighter is different. No, but what they do, I think they do for business.
Ryan Garcia has thrown down the gauntlet to Jake Paul, declaring his intention to take on the social media mogul in the ring. Garcia aims to deliver a decisive blow to Paul's boxing ambitions, which were thrust into the spotlight following his contentious victory over Mike Tyson. After making his comeback following a suspension for a doping infraction, Garcia is determined to prove himself by facing Jake Paul. The rising boxer is confident that Paul won't provide any serious challenge, firmly believing he can overpower him effortlessly in the ring. Garcia said on the Ariel Helwani show, "It would be huge. I see it everywhere. Everywhere go, people are asking me to fight Jake Paul. I've got to give the people what they want. That's what I'm used to doing." Garcia didn't hold back in expressing his confidence. He said, "If Jake fights the way he fought Mike, I genuinely believe I would knock him out within 4 or 5 rounds. We said we'd run it one day. He came to my gym a long time ago in Victorville. Then he visited me with the Canelo camp. This is before he started boxing. So I kind of gave birth to his boxing career, and now I'm here to end it. That's it." Ryan Garcia offered his perspective on the bout between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. While he recognized Tyson's age and ongoing physical challenges, Garcia emphasized that Paul didn't seem to be performing at his peak. Garcia said, "Honestly, it was probably what we expected. Mike's up in age and didn't have his balance right. It seemed like Jake wasn't fighting at his full potential, but it was okay. It was what we all expected." A potential showdown between Garcia and Paul would undoubtedly generate immense buzz in the boxing world. With their massive fan followings and larger-than-life personalities, the clash promises to be a media spectacle, attracting significant promotion and widespread attention. Paul has not yet made a public response to Garcia's challenge. However, considering his track record of taking on bold and highly publicized bouts, it remains uncertain whether the YouTuber-turned-boxer is willing to step into the ring with an experienced professional like Garcia. Jake Paul believed that challenging Mike Tyson would catapult his career to new heights. Instead, the YouTuber is now under intense scrutiny, as a former world champion has alleged that the fight was staged. The YouTube star-turned-boxer had expected a grand spectacle, but the reality fell short of his expectations. Though the fight stretched across all 8 rounds, the lackluster boxing left many speculating that it was all part of Jake Paul's strategy. Anticipation for the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight was high, but the event failed to live up to the hype. At 58, Tyson showed signs of fatigue by the 3rd round, struggling to keep pace and delivering a lackluster performance against Paul. The influencer secured a unanimous victory in the end. However, a number of fans speculate that Tyson may have intentionally pulled his punches, fueling rumors that the fight was staged to guarantee a win for Paul. It's not just fans who share this view. Numerous analysts also suspect that Tyson intentionally held back from striking Paul. Even a former world champion is convinced that the fight was orchestrated in advance. Carl Froch, the ex-WBC and IBF champion, echoes this sentiment. He threw down the gauntlet to Jake Paul for a fight, but made it clear that he wouldn't be playing by any scripted rules, implying that Paul's previous showdown with Mike Tyson lacked authenticity. Froch said he'd get credit for being brave and jumping in with former world champions. On his YouTube channel about a potential fight against him or Tony Bellew, he added, "2 fighters that could beat him. The problem is, we would beat him. We'd iron him out in round 1. He wouldn't know what hit him. If we connected, the fight would be over in the first minute of the first round." So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos.